no reason to delay, as we will start in the top left-hand side of the map with the blue Terran player from TvZ Gaming. This is time. He takes on the red Zerg in the lower right, a fearsome opponent, RagnaroK. Time here instead of Innovation. Beat out Innovation. That TvT was a very funky, weird series that we had at the end of yesterday. But he deserved to be here. He played some good games for sure. Just brought a couple TvTs back from the brink of defeat. And yeah, expect them to do well because we see Time consistently picking up maps against great players. He beat Armani yesterday and made it look fairly easy. He took 5 games, went to 5 games against Dark in the ESL Open Cup this week. So I feel like someone like RagnaroK is in that range of very beatable opponents for Time. I absolutely think this can be a 5-game series. I think it could go either way. Wouldn't really like to put a prediction on it. Time is just that good at the moment. It'd be really cool to see Time having a deep run, like making it into semifinals, stuff like that. Just, because we see him do well in online events, but then these online events that are a little bit bigger, well, it'd just be freaking awesome to see him do that little bit better again, right? That would be hell yeah, 10 out of 10. So we will see as this SCV turns back around. Obviously, just scouting that this is a hatchery first, which means that the Reaper can now overtake and come down to the bottom right-hand side to check as well. As it moves up here, it's going to get a look into the natural expansion and be like, ooh, some blings, a couple of drones hanging around. Maybe just going to put some pressure on as the drone. Taking some shots. Queen pops out, pushes the Reaper back away. Bit of back and forth there as the factory obviously up at home, and is already a double gas from Time, so not going to be seeing any sort of 3cc shenanigans. Is going to be focused around double gassing it up. Time has this tendency in TvZ to end up playing longer games. It feels like a lot of the time he struggles to get the he struggles to find a win condition almost earlier on. Not like he can't play it, just he tends to end up in that sort of scenario where it is late, it is back and forth. Just the way he plays kind of allows for that a lot of the time. Which is why I'm really excited about this being our first series of the day. Because I actually think it could be like like I said already, I think it could go to 5 games. I think it could be really close. I actually think it could be really close with back and forth games. I've casted a lot of best of 5s and stuff lately from other online events, which have been very, very quick. We see like 5 games, Innovation and Zesk all 5 maps, but it's like 6 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 11 minutes, right? And it's like a 45-minute 5-game series. I think this first map could take 20 plus minutes, right, between Time and RagnaroK. So, yeah, kind of, I like the potential of this to get some longer games involved. I think that could be really cool. Banshee's on the way up. The Cloak is following. As we have an Overlord in the main base. He's going to take a few shots. These Marines are going to chase it down. Get out of here! Be gone, Mr. Ovi. We don't want you hanging around the main. So he gets chased away. Obviously, with the Overlord speed, though, he gets a pretty perfect scout. He sees everything that's going on. Cloak is already on the way up. First Banshee is out, and yeah, I mean, pretty good info to have, right? The first Banshee just going to sit here. I don't even mind it. I actually think, maybe you wait until you get this Overlord pushed back, and then you pick a direction of going with 2 Banshees at once. Obviously, 1 Banshee is going to be pretty well defended now, so I like it. Also means that just in case there are roaches or something coming across the map, you're not being caught off guard, you're not out of position with the Banshee. I mean, you could also argue the Banshee could catch roaches middle of the map, and that would be great, but just going to keep it at home and go with 2 Banshees together. As right now, we obviously see ourselves, it's just double Evo Chamber from RagnaroK. He's going to be into nice, quick upgrades. There's the last, so it's going to be into a later Banelin Nest, Banelin Speed, and probably, well, potentially Spire. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Spire, of course. Hydralisk Den is a huge option here, and one which we've seen plenty of as of late. We even saw yesterday in Armani versus Time, Armani going for like a very quick Hydra Den off of just Lings. So he played like he almost played like fast, when you play like fast Spire and you play like 2.5, 3 base Spire very quickly. It was like that, but with Hydras, and I was like, what? And it actually kind of, it worked for longer than it should have done. You know, it worked out better than it should have done. Right? Like, that was, it was kind of wild. Sorry, the Banshees have made their appearance on the right-hand side. Picking off a few drones to get us started. 3 workers already going down. Well, there's a transfusion to keep the extractor alive, but that's only going to prolong the inevitable, it seems, at the moment. That Banshee squad still out of range of the spore. Actually, as the Queens get pushed back, we'll take a dive and gets one more drone. Obviously, the more that you get done there, the better it's going to be. Aliens around in the center, the Banshees back away. 1-1 upgrades are underway. Combat shields coming up. Reactor is building on the starport. We're seeing a siege tank already coming through on the main base, as well as a few extra SCVs will be settling down in the main. Hellions coming through. Gonna try and push those Queens back and away. So Hellions having a pretty good job there. Marine's gonna start getting in on top of this hatchery as well. So hatchery will get cleaned out. I'm just going to be seeing time. Wanting to go up this round. I mean, this is a really cool little timing. I didn't actually really... Well, I'm not going to lie. I didn't really look at this as much of a push at all or expect it or anything, but it's at a weird time, right? Because he isn't on 1-1. Yes, it's got the medevac, but it's only 1 medevac as well. Like, it's such a weird little timing that he hits that. And even RagnaroK's a bit like, whoa, hold on a second, buddy. I don't have Banelings here. My upgrades aren't done. That was a nice little time to attack, and what's even better is it's a great time to pull back home. Because now the upgrades are done, right? Banelings are going to get underway. He's forced a lot of Zerglings. Yeah, it was very well done by time. A couple of Banshees here. We'll see the Lings coming in. Wasn't really anything back to defend, honestly, so now we're going to see time rotating to hit the other 4th base. What he's doing is very risky, because he leaves nothing at home, and as you can see, this mineral line would have been ransacked. That leads straight into the natural. He could argue he probably could have pulled back to that mineral, pulled back to the natural and then defended, but yeah, I mean, that's still a risk you're taking. I still think you're going to lose SCVs here before you properly defend that with that many Lings there. It's not like the Banshees are going to just suddenly defend all those Lings just because he saw them coming in. It's just information that he gathered, nothing else, nothing more. Well, the Banshees just kind of give themselves up, but Hellbats are morphed in. This push is continuing over the right-hand side. Marine's going to be splitting up a little bit. So we're seeing our tank firing continue to go, and just going to be seeing our Banes continue to roll into this as well. Marines. Oh, Marines are going to have to split away as the Ling Bane continues through this, and the Marinas are going to show up to push the medevac back. So in the end, you get a fight here as RagnaroK, which does pretty well. I don't think time really gained anything by pushing up this ramp. Which is a shame, because obviously he could have just backed off, kept his army, and those larger armies typically can do well for the Terran. Sunset Tower takes a few more shots. He does getting some damage done there. A hatchery from RagnaroK over on the right hand side. From time on the way in the main base. Then we see Marines, tank, all of this coming through as our SCVs are being picked away at. 4 workers going down. Nice catch, though. I mean, obviously, you clean out a few meters like that, and you're kind of having a good time as well as the Terran players. So you get yourself a handful of mutalisks here, and that slows the Zerg down. I mean, we're not actually playing like a massive mutalist here anyway. And obviously, it won't ever feel like a massive mutalist if you keep losing a few meters here and there like that every so often, as now time makes the play to get rid of a creature. We'll go to the right side and look for another as Banelings start to roll forward. These Marines have to lift up into medevacs and come back up to the top side. Ling showing up, and the tank is out here. More of these Lings pulling back to the bottom right hand side. A hatchery on the 5th base of RagnaroK as well. As again, our Marine tank medevac army. I say Marine tank, it's only 2 siege tanks. This is almost pure Marines, which is a little bit scary. For a moment, it felt like it might work because there's just so Ling heavy from RagnaroK, but then he's adding more Banelings now, and that's where the lack of siege tanks will come into play. There's a few Widow Mines, 4 of them, but then you think that, well, 3 of them are right here on this screen defensively right now, so that do the talking. They did amazingly, though. 13 kills and 11, 24 Lings go down. Without that, this would be a lot more losses already. Kills a turret, that's something that must be replaced, of course, as time gets the cleanup. Doesn't lose a single SCV in this process. God damn it, time. I was just praising you for not losing an SCV and 1 Zergling kills 2. But no, the point is still there, right? He loses basically no workers, and he gets a lot of Ling kills with that. That is massive. As the Lings run in, the mutas are going to go for a dive onto this mineral line as well. Missile turret falls, and the Marines are going to sit here and continue to pick away at these Zerglings. The mutas will be back in, and more of these SCVs are just continuing to drop. That's a lot of workers being picked off right now as we stem forward. A few of these group teams being picked away at. On the bottom side, we do have a creep gonna get cleaned out here. I mean, this is pretty huge, right? I mean, it's at least 1 creep tumor there. I mean, gets it now, but an extra scan. I mean, this is nice because it opens this pathway back down this bottom side. Maybe some possibility to get something done there. Otherwise, we're still kind of hanging around on the top of this map and seeing where we can go. Obviously, we saw RagnaroK clean out all these rocks earlier in the game, and that gave him a lot more access through. Widow Mines are going to connect again. This time, obviously, a little bit of splash onto the Terran army as well, but don't even mind it. That last Widow Mine was still yet to go off, and it got, again, a decent leading connection. Another Widow Mine blew up a lot of the Banelings here. Time is finding Widow Mine shot after Widow Mine shot to keep this push alive. What are we waiting on for RagnaroK? Nothing really. He's just going to 3-3 upgrades. He never started an Ultra Cavern, so it's not getting immediately like tons better for him. He's out of Banelings. Mutas have to fly into 3 Thors. We do have the Medevac micro to save the Thors a little bit. Some extra Banes showing up, and in the end, looks like a cleanup. Time doesn't have enough, but RagnaroK is very fortunate because he had 0 Banelings remaining, and having no Banelings remaining is pretty much always a big yikes, right? If you've got no Banelings, the next wave of units generally comes in and kills you. Widow Mine shots going off, Lings taking damage, Marines are going to unload as the mutas are diving in onto the medevacs. Everything from time continue to pull back to the upper left. A hatchery top right from RagnaroK as well. Setting on up as we have got 5 bases. Still comfortable for RagnaroK. He's now going to get to 6, and I feel like that's obviously a problem for time, who, well, he's got to secure base 5 in the near future, right? And it's not impossible to do that on Ramanda's side. I think this left side can be taken rather easily, but it is starting to stretch you out more, and it's going to put you in that position where suddenly this right side run by path, which we've seen RagnaroK utilize a couple times already, that's only going to become more valuable for RagnaroK here, because now you're going to have to defend the far left and essentially the top side. So now you're really drawn out where you need to defend, and because of the Zerg army being so mobile, it can rotate very quickly around those positions, despite this being typically a difficult to rotate on map because of the fact you've got to come all the way around this side. The only good thing is now the Terran player can obviously defend the left side while still pushing down the bottom, right? And so this base is again going to be a target, but that's going to be one of the problems again. Maybe you could also argue that it might be better to move out from the 3rd base and then push the top right-hand side, and then you're naturally defending the 3rd base. But then, of course, if you're defending and pushing and focusing on this top side, as this run by gets cleaned up, then you're actually leaving not just this base exposed, but this base exposed. So the question is, do you want to leave the top side base exposed, or do you want to leave the 2 left side bases exposed? Well, yeah, it's a tough decision, because I actually do think you'd rather push up to these bases, but then you'd rather keep these bases alive. It's really a tough call. It's really a tough call. It's going to be seen how Bane's going to wander through. And we get a few connections in. And Bio Army will continue to move forward here. A couple of these Lings continue to come in. A couple of creep teamers continuing down. Brutalisks wanting to maybe have a look at this Terran army. Maybe look to jump onto it a little bit. We've finally got ultras on the way up, and that's what feels like it's taken forever to get to here. And this Lings and Bane's going to start rolling forward again. Marine's going to be splitting off creep. While the Banes continue to move through this, we're just going to be seeing all of these Banelings going down. Widowmines are going to start burrowing up as well. Unburrow, reburrow, more Banelings showing up too. Those Widowmines helping out. Time's just not got enough anymore. Now you've got a couple of Ultras starting to take to the stage, so Ultras starting to show up. Ultras starting to get ready to run in at this army. I mean, this army's never really been... It's not been badly set up to deal with Ultras, right? It has had Marauders, it's got Widowmines, etc., but there's not the Ghosts and so on that could do so much more as the Baneling run by is unfortunately just not quite enough to get some real damage done. A lot of things have been good for Time in this game. A lot of the run-by defense has been really on point, and I think those are a lot of the positives which have been great for him. He's just never really found a direction to go in with his attacks to really say, right, this is where we're going to attack. This is what we're going to, this is how we're going to do it. We've just never really had that in any of these games. Like he's been pushing through the middle. That's not really worked out at any point. I think that's one of the reasons Romanticide is kind of tough. Like, it is just a difficult map to push on because there is a long distance between yourself, your own bases, and the Zerg bases in these later stages, especially when the Zerg can choose which way they expand to expand away from your fort, etc. And in this case, it just helps RagnaroK enough to really hold on again and again and eventually draw out this victory. Just to fill some time as we're waiting for this game to start. Game 2 will begin out in the bottom left-hand side with the Blue Terran player down a map, but definitely feels like that was his opponent's map pick. This should be his own map pick, Oxide. Very good for Terran pushes, a lot of good tank positions here. Let's see if Time can make it happen to tie it up 1-1. He's the Blue Terran in the bottom left side of the map. And in the top right, our red Zerg player from Alpha X is RagnaroK, leading this series and getting ready to go. Just as we get going, thank you very much as well to Drake J123 for the Prime sub. Welcome. And thank you so much for supporting. And Nasfalas for the 26-month resub as well. These replays do go out. Everything from this tournament will go out on to subscribers at the end of the tournament. We'll probably do it over the weekend. So if you're enjoying these games, you want to check out the replays, become as good as RagnaroK in Time yourself, those replays go out to subscribers. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can become a YouTube member, or you can use the Patreon page, patreon.com/WardiTV. $5 plus patrons get replay packs as well. So if you're looking for the replay packs, new one this weekend, obviously you get access to all of our old replay packs and all the other replay packs for as long as you're a Patreon or a subscriber or whichever form of replay pack obtaining you go for. So yeah, do check that out. Obviously also goes towards helping the content out. There's a couple Queens Lings on the way, factory starts up. And my big question is, do we see a second gas again from Time, or do we go 3cc this time? Oxide, not a bad map for some of the aggressive openers, but the thing is, a lot of the TvZ is a weird one where a 3cc can then still lead to a lot of the aggressive openings. It's just they don't have to do as much because you've got the economy behind it. So it can actually work out that a little bit better anyway, basically. Command Center going to be setting up into the main as we'll have, well, the Reaper moving around a little bit right now. Link speed is about halfway done. The Command Center coming up in the main, so we are seeing that 3cc style as mentioned, and then a second Rax on the follow-up. So we go to 2 Rax here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Time get aggressive with a faster kind of 2-1-1-esque kind of opener. We've seen some players even continue to build Hellions off this, and there's been all sorts of fun little timings. It's definitely become a little bit less popular once again. I would say that there was a time where this was like I say a time like 2 or 3 weeks ago. You were seeing a lot of setups like this into like a 6-minute attack with Hellbats and Stim Marines and Medivacs. I'd say now we actually just see a few more kind of just very regular like 60 Marine Medivacs and just poking around, clearing out creep and stuff like that again. Reaper Marine, a couple of Hellions setting up just at the front. The Overlord is going to be making its way into the main base. Blair setting up from RagnaroK in the main as well. And a third hatchery just going down on the top side. So getting that up and running. Stimpack coming through, the starport's on the way. And these few Marines are going to be chipping away at this Overlord. So Overlord will fall in the next few moments. Yes, the Overlord going down. Yeah, I mean, the Overlord gets the information it's looking for, though. As it comes into this main base, you see double racks, you see factory starports, you see the 3CC. I mean, you see everything. You know exactly what this build is, and then in your mind, you know the options. This is going to be one of those more aggressive Hellbat timings that I just talked about. You keep the reactor on the factory, you only build one medevac at a time, and then you kind of just go. You can obviously get 2 medevacs out here as Stim is done. You rally the second one across, and there's the armory to morph in the Hellbat. So instead of around 6 minutes, I think this one's going to hit a little bit before then, but still after 5. I guess you could call it maybe 5:30. So yeah, it's a very powerful attack because you hit with Hellbats. Obviously, it kind of requires Banelings to be handled, but it's also that kind of interesting scenario where I love this. Everything's in this medevac, so you don't actually get to see exactly what's up as RagnaroK just yet. But it's absolutely a scenario where you look at this now and you're like, you know, it feels macro. It feels like you've just got to kind of build up, but actually you got to get ready to defend this. And so RagnaroK cuts at 53 drones. I think that's the right amount. Obviously, you don't have to be at 44 for regular 2-1-1 because this is a much later attack. He's got these Banes. If you can get rid of these Banes, time would be looking golden. They kind of connect, though, don't they? Baneling connections like that are obviously going to put you in a very good spot as Medevac's still doing some good healing. That's going to be pushed back, and the last Baneling getting a connection there. This medevac never went down. A couple Queens fell. You look at what's been lost, and 2 Queens, few Banes, the Lings. Obviously, it's not a lot lost for time. It is a decent trade for him, but that's basically it. That's the pressure just done. And little things like being ahead on 1-1, that's, you know, those are the benefits RagnaroK gets to kind of reap right now from the defense. So ahead on the 1-1, cleanly into the Spire nice and quickly. I think that's the big thing, right? He's doing a lot of this stuff. You know, already having Baneling speed, this is a faster last, so he's in a really good position when you look at everything all together. Two Marines and a medevac will fly out over the right side. Middleists are setting up as well. That's a nice follow-up push, right? The macro behind this from times being clean. We'll have 1-1 in combat shields for this push onto the 4th base. He was extremely successful on Romanticide with the push onto the 4th base and all the rest of it. And honestly, looks like we'll see more of the same here again as Marines will stem through. It's a quick humor. That's a cancelled hatchery 100%. He was already moving up to take this hatch as well. Obviously, you do have those options here on Oxide. The only problem with this is there's a really good push up from this 3rd base. So this is what never really kind of got going on Romanticide, is that you never really get a push like this where you can go up the left, you've got walls to secure you from the surround, and you can just hit the 4th base. And that's what was really missing on Romanticide, the ability to get somewhere after forcing the 4th base into different places. This time I feel like that's definitely a thing on Oxide, so we'll see how well Time can utilize it and see if he can maybe use it well enough to turn this series around from 0-1 to 1-1. And there's a few minutes showing up, and they're going to get a few SCVs. I think we actually had a little bit of an issue with the hosting guys, so it seems like SCV kill counters are not turned on here, so apologies for that. Obviously, we have them on for the next game. Once again, we had them on the previous game. I think it was just when the game got hosted, we had to rehost, and that cost us the mod being online. That's free. 3 middlers going down there, so they get taken down. Why are Terrans not building more missile turrets against mutas? Because they're actually really expensive. You know, you think about it right now, like, missile turrets 100 minerals. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, every time you build 100 minerals, that's 2 less Marines. So what do? You want to want to build 2 missile turrets everywhere there might be mutas. The thing is, 2 missile turrets don't stop mutas. What missile turrets do is they buy you time, where oftentimes you will attack the turret instead of SCVs. And in that time, you get Marines into position. At this stage of the game, as the meter count is low, if you sacrifice SCVs slash Marines for turrets, then, you know, look what was done here. 6 SCVs lost, and that's like, okay, that could have been 3 turrets plus the mining, etc., blah, blah, blah. But obviously the whole point is, well, actually, if he'd built 3 more turrets already, that would have just hurt him just as much, basically. So, yeah, I mean, and then those turrets lose value over time as well, because it gets to a point where 2 turrets is going to make no difference compared to just having 1 turret. So they're very limited in their usage, and like I say, it sounds dumb, but then you'd rather just sort of take the damage, because you got to remember as well that pro players play with this mindset of, oh, we can always defend anything anyway, right? Like, I'm going to get my Marines there to defend it before it becomes too much of a problem. I think this was a case where maybe it was a little bit too much damage taken, as this is a horrible fight for time. Sorry to move on, but yikes. That was tanks, not siege. Marines out in the middle of nowhere. Meters showing... Wow, I mean, that was just horrendous. Now you're going to just run straight at this third base, and... yeah, does this game just end? Every SCV on the third is going to get blown up. He's going to turn it around with what feels like an endless amount of banelings at the Marines, and that just fell apart so quickly for time. GG. Wow. Welcome back, everybody, as we jump into game number 3. Thank you for your patience with a couple of minutes of ads as we get into a tricky scenario for our blue Terran player. On the top left-hand side, in the blue, he's time. Looking to fight back from 0-2 down. Obviously not really where he wants to be. Bottom right-hand side. Our red Zerg player is RagnaroK. Game 3 of our series, as we do see the SCV making its way out down to the bottom right corner of the map. Peaceful early game. No proxy racks. Let's see if we're gonna get a 3cc opener once again here. Reaper is out, it's on the way. The Lings did go around the side, so this is a pool first, is the one big difference that I do need to point out here. It's not just hatch, gas, and pool. Now, the SCV knows it's pool first. That's the whole point of this SCV scout, is to check if the hatchery is first or not. And as soon as you see the hatchery isn't first, Reaper just has to stay at home, because otherwise Lings show up, the command center gets delayed, and this becomes a whole fiasco, and it's just not worth it. SCV going to pull back to the upper left as a Queen is going to be there to push the Reaper away. Command center building in the main. Command center coming up. We do have a starport getting going and a couple of Hellions to begin in just a few moments' time as well. Barracks is down. That's going to be seen our Overlord moving on up to the top side of the map as well. So getting that up and running, getting everything ready to scout. And we obviously get to see what the process is right now from time. There's 1-1-1 instead of the second racks this time. And we'll see what he wants to do with it. Tech lab on the barracks, and obviously this can go a couple different ways as well. This can absolutely be Stimpak. This can absolutely be Stimpak, while at the same time we could go into a starport onto the tech lab and build some Banshees, for example. It looks like that will be the case. So sometimes you see, like, you know, Viking Stim, and you just get into like a nice quick bio follow-up, but yeah, time... I think he just prefers how that first game went, where he got the Banshees out, bit of harass. Might not even be Cloak here, though. Let's see if he does it with the minerals. He has the gas. Yeah, it might just be that one Banshee to start us off. One single Cloakless Banshee keeps you very safe. Remember that this was pool first, so there's always that tendency to expect almost like a Roach follow-up to this. And then on top of that, it's a shorter map as well, so that also adds to that potential of it being like a Roach attack where you rush across and you can hit very quickly. So a couple of reasons why Time might opt for the Banshee here rather than double racks or anything else off of this 1-1-1 setup. Reactor comes up, builds a tech lab, a reactor on the starport here. As we'll see the SCVs continue to build. A couple of extra barracks already coming up. Reaper and Hellions up the left-hand side, and 2 more Hellions going to get here as well. As we do have a Banshee just going to continue along. Obviously now not needed defensively, may as well try and get something done. RagnaroK going to opt for a faster lair again. He went Baneling Nest, then the lair. This is one of the standard ways of opening now. If you're not going to go Evo Chambers, the super fast lair really died off with the lack of battlecruiser openers and all that kind of stuff. And because of the rise of popularity of the Hellbat openings again, it just really means that a super fast lair is just very dangerous. This one is a little bit safe. You go Bane Nest, then lair, then you get upgrades and you can drop the Spider down quickly as well. So yeah, that's just the safer way of doing all of that. Will be behind upgrades compared to the Terran, but that's fine. Zergs are used to playing from positions like that. Aliens out down the bottom. A few creep teamers continue to get up and running as they get taken down. A grenade pops the couple queens back. Doing a good job of that as the 1-1 continue to set up on the natural expansion. Baneling speed coming through. And yeah, there's that stim pack finishing. And just going to be seeing our Hydralisk Den. Now going to be the next step along. So move into that Hydra Den for our next stage of this. There's a lot of creep teamers spreading out onto the map. So a lot of creep out onto the map going different directions. There's just been no creep denial at all, really. I know the Hellions were out there earlier, but they've pulled back, and yeah, they're going to be safe. They're going to be able to join this push or defend the third base. There's one thing to keep in mind earlier. He actually brought the Hellions and everything with the first attack that he went for on Ramanda's side, and that really leaves you open to the counterattacks early. This time he's left the Hellions back at home, and I actually like that adjustment on a map like Lightshade. I think it's a little bit more likely you end up being caught by these Lings on the third base, in which case the Hellions are quite important back there, and you can see he's continuing to pull them back to that side. Yeah, I'm not convinced about a push in right now. He needs to remember combat shields as well. That has not yet started. Without combat shields, obviously, the longer you don't have that, the more likely Azur gets a hell of a good fight going for themselves in all of this. Things run up, and that mineral line has to pull. SCVs run to the corner, and the Hellions, the Marines, the tanks all showing up to push the Lings back up through to the top side. So pushing that away, disengaging. Now we see 8 Banelings morphing in on the 12 o'clock position. So 8 Banelings already on the way up, and there's actually more elsewhere as well. There's 15 morphing in total. So we've got Banes on the defense, looking Bane on the offense. It's going to get a little bit hectic here in the next few moments. Our Banes running through. SCV's going to pull. It's Siege Tank. Actually, good defense. Gets some good shots off. Let's see what the defense looks like from RagnaroK then. His time to defend. His fourth base is the one in trouble. He's actually going to send more Ling Bane across the map. I like it because before it was very Bane heavy. Ling Bane would absolutely shut down the Siege Tank, but there are other units here now. Okay, he brings it back around. He's going to go in for the flank. In from 2 sides, and here we go. Minimizes what the Siege Tanks can do, and you can see the Bane's coming in. He's forced to lift up. Get out of there. I feel like that wasn't even too many Banelings used in the process. Good save from time. He had no option other than to lift. With the Banes approaching rapidly from both directions, that was basically the only thing you could do. Down the bottom once more. A few changes are going to wander in, and those are going to be found and removed from the equation. Fourth base sets up. This was 8 racks initially, so this was intending to be very aggressive, but I feel like Time is realizing already that it's so weird to see someone 8 racks and then so quickly go into a 4th, and I think he's just realizing, like, hey, this really is not working. Like, the first fights have gone so badly wrong. Is there a way that I can really overpower from here on out? And I mean, I kind of agree. Yeah, no, I don't think you can overpower. So yeah, 4th base might be the best option. Cut your losses while you can, and maybe make something happen with this in the later stages of the game. Those Lings are going to get through there. They're going to go for that tank, and yeah, I feel the Lings will go down. But yeah, Time's just not making any further progress now, and if RagnaroK had seen that 4th base, he might have just started up his 5th hatchery already and got that underway. This Banshee is hanging around as well. Things back down from the top. 2 upgrades are finishing, and that'll be true on both sides of the map. But the Hydra's now out. I mean, the Hydras are really well set up usually to deal with this kind of 8 racks pressure. Hydra's just that little bit more stable and sturdy when it comes to pushing back armies. And obviously, then you've got that transition through in towards the Lurker Den if you want to. I think right now the priority is a couple of Vipers. The belief that just a little bit of blinding cloud action on the siege tanks could help with the fights, which is absolutely true. And there are the 2 Vipers to start up already. Because if you get those couple of blinding clouds, then all of a sudden you're going to be able to really shut down one of the big things the Terran is relying on. And if you shut down that, well, then the Ling Bane can generally just get the rest of the job done. Big army supply advantage for time. Let's see what RagnaroK can do about it. I like the constant run-bys. I think those are good. I think he hasn't had like major damage with these yet. But it's only a matter of time before one of them starts to break. I mean, there's a lot of depots over here. Even just breaking down a lot of those might be extremely useful. And even this is kind of a far set back attack as, well, looks like Time didn't realize the Banes were just going to run around the depots, and he gets 9 SCVs. And some of those Banes are actually going to get out of there alive. It means that this army down here is obviously just half the Terran army as well, because so much pulled back up to really fight that. Oh, this is scary. I mean, this hatchery's in trouble. The Vipers have the energy now. He's going to go and start a cleanup. Saves the hatch, and now he'll have the Vipers for the, well, I say Abducts, maybe Blind Clouds. We'll see what he chooses. I think Blind Clouds are just better in this scenario, as he doesn't do anything yet. Finally hits a Blinding Cloud up on the top side, but the problem with this fight is he didn't hit a single Blinding Cloud on the way in, so the tank's got amazing connections on everything as it ran forward, and now, I mean, did you need to chase that far off of creep as well? Yeah, maybe you should have just, well, I mean, it's obvious now, hindsight is everything, but giving up this base on the bottom side, going to the right side of the map instead would have been the better choice. It's tough to make that decision when you know your opponent's going up to 4 base, though, because you feel like you need to be on 5 bases, but even then, he wasn't losing this base. Not yet, at least, right? This army was quite far off creep still. He didn't need to engage like he did. The Vipers took a long time to be influential in the fight as well. And this was not a good fight at all for RagnaroK. Time is starting to make this work. 19 SCVs killed, and the Baneling count is miserable for RagnaroK. GG is called. Time will take a 3rd map, and Time will make a series out of this matchup, and he will not fall without at least a little bit of a fight. Let's dive into the game. Pillars of Gold. Obviously, I think we're ping-ponging between map picks from RagnaroK and map picks from Time. Lightshade is a map that Zergs actually quite like to play on. We had Lambo on the stream yesterday. No, it was Monday. And we had Lambo on the stream on Monday. He's talking a lot about how Lightshade is great because you can expand in different directions. And while it's a short rush distance, it doesn't really become short when you expand. It doesn't become shorter. And so, and because of the choices you have as a Zerg, it actually works out quite well. So, definitely feels like we've gone from RagnaroK to Time to RagnaroK to Time. So Time stealing one of RagnaroK's map picks now gives him the chance to play on his map pick, Pillars of Gold. I think map 5 will be Death Ore. I'm pretty sure the vetoes were Submarine and Jagannatha, as we so often see in best of 5 TvZs. Top right, our red Terran player. This is Time from Kaizi Gaming. And bottom left from Alpha X is RagnaroK. Our first quarterfinal match of the day here in the WardiTV Invitational number 11. We do have 3 more matches after this. We will be doing Rogue versus Dream, I believe, after this one. Then Trap versus Patience, and then we'll be doing Beyond versus Zaun as our final series of the day. So those are the matches yet to come, in case you're excited for more StarCraft 2. 4 best of 5s in total, and I'll be off this evening. No stream this evening, just so you guys are aware. Overlord coming up to the upper right. Reaper is about to pop out of the barracks. Reaper moves down and just going to be seeing Ling Speed and a few Lings on the way. We're back to that hatchery first opening, so Reaper gets to move across the map this time. We get to see our favorite little Reaper versus Zergling dance for the first few minutes here. Boom! Grenade goes off and pops the drone around. Lings are moving around a little bit here as well. Obviously, very nearly getting a drone kill is nice, but obviously no success in the end. At the end of the day, a drone with low HP is still a drone. Obviously, it's more easily targeted later. Oh, he's going to go for the creep tumor. He missed the shot initially, hit the queen, then he bopped the Reaper with the grenade too, but he did make the space. He does get it. The first creep tumor kill is massive because you deny 50. It's 25 energy off the queen. It slows down the creep right at the early stages. The only creep tumor you have. Again, that is one of the best things you can do as a Reaper. I mean, I think it goes like... I think a drone is like the best thing you can pick off. Obviously, early damage done like that to the economy. But the next best thing is the creep tumor. Like, a ling or two is nice, but the creep tumor is the real value that you usually get, because obviously the Zergs are pretty good at protecting their drones. The creep tumor is something that we still see killed off a reasonable amount of time. So Reaper are down to the bottom side. Hatchery is placed, and the Liberator is on the way out of the starport right now as well. So we're just going to be seeing a little bit more harassment focus. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, kind of going like Stimpack Lib or Stimpack Viking, but this is not 3cc. This is actually just 2 bases, and the third will come in about the next 20 to 30 seconds or so. So this does look like it'll be Stim behind it and just teching up. Not a super aggro 2-base setup, but Hellion Liberator can do well. Obviously, the Hellion count will get up to 6 or 8, so you actually have a lot of Hellion pressure at the front. And then you've got the Liberator to head into the main base as well to try and make some progress over there. Lions move back up the right side. A couple Evo chambers are being placed, and we have our drone count continuing to rise up as well. Spores are popping here from RagnaroK. All of our Hellions and the Reaper are going to join up together and begin to move out across the bottom sides. Like I say, Hellions, it gives you that little bit more pressure than usual. The Liberator will pull queens out the way. You can see what he's doing. He's trying to get the queens to go to the third base, but the queens are not falling for it. They're like, nuh-uh. We know what you're trying to do. And that's actually a very smart defense from RagnaroK. But now the Liberator goes to the natural. There's a Spore Crawler there at least, but it will still get a couple drones. I actually think without a drone pull, it's worth sitting there. Yeah, you lose the Liberator, but you actually get 3 more drones. And that's probably better than you're going to do otherwise. I mean, you could go into the main and maybe get a couple shots of force a pull as well. I think just getting 3 drones at that point is just better than the extra damage you probably get with the Liberator otherwise. So I don't mind that so much. 5 drones killed here with the initial aggression in time. He gets off to a good start, remember? While it wasn't 3cc right away, it's not like he's needing to kill 20 plus drones to be in the game at all. This is still a 3rd CC that started up now, so that 3rd is on the way up. Combat shield is coming through on this rack, so we're just going to be having a couple of engineering bays of time setting up in the main base as well. Queen step forward, and once more the Hellions back off. Liberator goes up the left. Didn't realize he built a 2nd Liberator. This one flew straight into this Queen in the Spore Crawler, it feels like, and got shut down immediately. So that one not as successful, but we still got Hellions having a great time, and I love what he did there. He sends just 3 Hellions forward. It means not all of them are in position to be caught by Lings. If the Lings do get a catch, and that's a beautiful defense as well. That's actually tempting just to run at the mineral line again, isn't it? But too many low HP Hellions. 8 becomes 5 very quickly. That drops down to, drops down from there, and then you're like, oh, I've barely killed a drone already, so that's a really tough decision to not just go diving into the mineral line after you just killed every single Zergling that chased you down. It's really tempting to make the move at that point. Amazing from time. Just 1 Liberator loss. He's now killed 26 Lings and 6 drones. I'm a little bit worried for RagnaroK when it comes to this first push of time. The only good thing is that the 1-1 is very far behind for time, so maybe if he goes too soon, he'll be fighting down on upgrades. And if he waits, then obviously he's waited for RagnaroK to get back in the game a little bit, so there's not really a good choice. I'm not sure why the engineering bays are so... I don't know if the engineering bays are so late versus the Zerg upgrades were just so early. And then obviously you go double Liberator and stuff, so the engineering bays are going to be a little bit slower at least. SCV is pulling for a bit of a repair. Marines are going to be pulling away. Lings are getting a good wrap around. Marines in trouble. Obviously, with the upgrade advantage, these Lings are going to have a good time, as they should just get rid of those Marines first, because the tank won't be able to hit anything. Everything else is just not here yet. Medevacs weren't there. Hellions weren't here. That's a good little grab from RagnaroK. Good moment to pick up a couple kills. He's got Bane speed now, so he'll have Bane speed to help defend the 4 bases. Bane's going to roll through. Going to go toward the Marines and the Hellbats. He's going to just turn back around. Don't think it's bad to use the Balins on the Hellbats here, because now it means the Lings are going to have an easier time getting through and just on top of Marines. So RagnaroK's still trailing a bit of army supply this entire time. I want to believe it's the fact he's well on his way to 2-2, and that's maybe going to help him out instead. But of course, that's just not here yet. So I do think you can't let this 4th base go down. I was going to see the Lings and Banes jump in on this. Okay, and then the lift up comes through. So the 4th is saved. Now you're going to get value out of the 2-2, and now you're going to be really benefiting. Despite having been behind an army supply before, now your army's going to be worth that much more. Tanks are siege. Marines coming through. A couple of Banelings get picked off already. You see a Queen that gets picked off right from the start as well. The other Lings wanting to jump in on these Marines. Queens are having to pull back as our Ling Bane army going to make a play forward once again. Bane's pushing through. The Marines continuing to fall and just going to be seen. I mean, that's a cleanup from RagnaroK. We kind of, I kind of expected it with the 2-2. It was pretty clean in the end. The Marines are just going to turn this away. Resources lost. I wouldn't say too far from where it's meant to be. The only thing is RagnaroK was stopped from mining for a while, so the income has not maybe been as favorable for him as he would have liked. It's in the right direction now, and we'll see if you can keep it going there, as he'll also find a chance for a run-by. Hey, this is a great run-by. It's going to hit that 3rd base. The thing is as well, he's really kind of... He's blunted the sword that Time is trying to stab him with, right? Because Time, it was 8 racks again. It was 3 racks here, not even adding add-ons onto them. It was very desperation 8 racks, like really aggressive. And so to really slow it down, stop this attack from happening, now Time's in a much worse position, basically. These Ling Midders, you can see what they're going to do. They're going to dive for the missile turret. Well, they should probably just end up getting some SCVs instead, which they will start to get now. I'm going to get another siege chunk here too. Do we really not have SCV kill count on again? No, we do. It was just taking so long for the SCVs to start going down, but now they will, and okay, they're going to go down big time. But you can see why. There's no Terran army really staying back at home. Everything's pushing forward. These few Banes do get to finish. RagnaroK's been very responsible. He's not going to commit yet. Not with everything. Now he just waited for a few more units, and now he's going to go. I think he's got enough. Ooh. Well, unfortunately, these Banes didn't continue to connect on the low health Marines. Okay, well, the 3rd base just died, so you can lose the 4th base as the Zerg player. You know, this is a scenario where you're now trading base for base, and that's absolutely okay. The Mutas eventually can come back and help with this next fight as well if they need to. Is there a world in which Time is winning this? Lings and Mutas going to be pretty overwhelming here, I think. And you need to be careful of the Marines, though, and you can see that's why the Mutas are backing away, but you've got to surround now, and if the Medevacs lift up, well, guess what's right there? The Mutalisks. And they're going to get the full medevac as well. What a one to snipe. And that's going to be GG. Too much for RagnaroK in the end. Time ran out of momentum. And RagnaroK takes it 3-1. He's our first semi-finalist of the WardiTV Invitational number 11. Congratulations to him. He moves on through to the next round.